He's one of the UK's leading contemporary artists and won the Turner Prize in 2007. Now Mark Wallinger is back with a new show at the Hauser & Wirth Gallery in London. Wallinger is best known for being the first artist whose work occupied the empty fourth plinth in London's Trafalgar Square, a tourist site in its own right these days. The International Hauser & Wirth Gallery signals a change for Wallinger, who since the 1980s has been with a British gallery. Belle Lupton went to meet him.
Mark Wallinger, thank you for speaking to us. Now, we're in a new space for you. It's a new agent, one with a much more international reach. Does this mean we're seeing you stepping off the British stage and onto a more international stage?
Well, I mean, obviously, as an artist, you want to reach as wide an audience as possible. And if that follows from this experience, then all well and good.
These are your id paintings. This is just a selection from that series. And they're all made without a paintbrush in sight. Can you just talk us through how you make them?
It took a little while for the pennies to drop, but I suddenly thought, well, we are kind of bilateral, symmetrical creatures, and dispensed with the brushes and started painting with my hands, One's capable of quite a good deal of symmetry, and although you might think of using your hands as being kind of crude, that they are the most dexterous things we've got, and actually they can hold and move more paint than even the most loaded brush, and it also dispenses with a load of unnecessary decisions. So
what kind of decisions?
Well, I've got 200 odd brushes that I could just leave behind, and I just came to work with these every day. There's a piece that I call Ego, which was one of those things where I was just idly in my office room at home, and I took a picture of my left and right hand, and I was thinking, oh well, that's familiar, and I kind of posed myself hubristically like God and Adam from the Sistine Chapel. But
made with an iPhone, which is really interesting because you're using very everyday objects, so this is stuff that we all have available to us. Our hands, the paints, the iPhone.
Yeah, so I quite like that. The iPhone crops up again later in the show, and I suppose that feels like a very democratic tool now,
We're standing underneath a sculpture that looks exactly like the sign that stands outside of London's police headquarters. Were you trying to make a comment about surveillance and about the way that the police operates with this work?
Yes, I mean, I suppose I was struck by the fact that its revolution suggests an all-seeing, ever-vigilant kind of presence. And I guess as well, I wanted to make something that physically gave one a bit of an ache, really, because you don't get to see yourself reflected unless you stand right underneath it. And I suppose I was thinking about how policing has become just evidence gathering, really.
Does it concern you that we are increasingly being snooped on and spied on by security services?
Yes, but that's kind of the pact we've made with the internet, isn't it?
And a lot of your works here are actually using iPhones, which are a portal for the internet. Is that, again, are you trying to weave all of these themes into them?
The police orrery, which is filmed me driving around a roundabout with an iPhone attached to the driver's side window. They've become incredibly democratic, ubiquitous tools.
Well, what's quite funny for me about that piece is that it is quite similar to the Google car that goes around with cameras taking, what we see on Google Maps, going around taking the images of places that it drives around. So there is a sense in which you've become the snooper, almost.
Yes, perhaps,
Some of your previous work, you were very political. So if we look back at something like State Britain, in which you essentially took a anti-war demo and you put it inside the Tate, you recreated it. There's a real sense that you're trying to make a political point. Do you feel like politics and art have a close relationship, and as though art can change the world?
For myself, I just want to make things that kind of like make people give something a second look, really. That's about as much as you can ask. Art history is a history of how we have perceived ourselves changing and evolving.
What's next for you? What's your next project?
Well, I've got 2 or 3 shows in the next few months.
So busy.
Yeah, very,
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, Mark.
Thank you.